I think chiropractors are crooks. Here's why. So I was having an issue with my back, sort of behind my right shoulder blade right here. It is specifically this area right there. So it's sort of like the rhomboid area. And so it's been difficult. It was difficult for me to diagnose. And so I went to a Thai massage. It didn't help. She was rubbing my feet and it's like, I needed something specific here. I went to a physiotherapist, and the guy did some things. They did dry needling, and he did a little bit of adjustment, like cracking the back, like a chiropractor, and these suction cups with electrical thing pulses, and it did nothing. I went for a couple treatments, and it was essentially a waste of money. So then moving forward, I am a yoga teacher and I'm into bodybuilding. So I do understand a few things about the body and how I can move it and how important it is that the movements that I'm doing are balanced so that I don't develop imbalances. And I think this was the problem, is because I swing a hammer. I'm playing the piano, I'm playing the guitar. I do a lot of things with my right hand. And so I, over time, developed this issue, and it certainly got worse over the last year when I started playing the guitar much more seriously, and also playing the piano, and that all this stuff kind of factors into it. So anyway, I'm dealing with this, and despite everything that I've done, I can't seem to get rid of this knot that I have. It's not a burning sensation, it's not painful, but a knot. It's a discomfort that manifests when I'm doing certain things, like just standing in front of the sink, doing dishes or something like that. And so I go to them, and this place, I walk in there, and the first thing I notice, it's like, am I in the Apple store or is this a doctor's office? There's a desk with 5 women. And they're all standing there. They all have their job, and their job is to process you as quickly as possible. So it's like you walk in there and you get hit with a whirlwind. Before you know it, you're all signed up, and they put you on these machines and they check you, and it seems like they're working along the lines of something that is going to possibly provide you with some sort of relief for whatever it is that you're suffering from. And so you go in there, and they of course get your credit card on file, because that is the first thing, the most important thing, because this is a business. And it starts to become more and more evident, to me as I'm visiting this place and dealing with these people. And so they, so you fill out the forms, and then you go in, and then they use these machines to check the stuff. And like all the first visit, all they do is run the machines on you and then tell you a bunch of stuff that you already know. It's just like, yeah, my back is hurt here and here. It's just like, yeah, I know that. I didn't need a bunch of machines to tell me that I have discomfort where I told you that I have it. And then you all of a sudden they're like, okay, well, so we'll sign you up for your next 12 visits. And it's like, excuse me, you haven't even adjusted me once, which is the thing where they do the cracking of your back. It's like, and it's like, oh, well, that starts next time. It's like, so they book you in because you haven't even received treatment, but you've already paid $150 for the initial consultation and for the scans and stuff like this. And it's just like, whatever, and it's a part of a process, and you're trying to get better, right? So they kind of got you there. You've come to them because you're suffering, and you have hope that these people are going to help you out. And then so you come back, and then they put you in a room, and then the guy comes in that you saw before, whoever it is, the person comes in, and then you lie on this table, and then crack here, crack there, snap your neck this way, snap your neck that way, then put you like this, and kind of and then walk out, and then go pay, right? And it's like, they're like, okay, well, you got to come more than once. You can't, it's just like, they have a logic to it. They have a spiel, where it's just like, they're like, okay, well, it's just like, because they know I'm a yoga teacher. It's just like, oh, well, or say like going to the gym, you can't just go once, you need to go repeatedly. You know, it's a process, and you have to participate in it, or else it doesn't work. And so then you have a choice. Am I going, you know, to make, it's like, am I going to sign up for 10 or 12 appointments? And it's just like, you know, it started rubbing me the wrong way from the moment I walked into this place. It's just like, it just didn't seem right. And it's like, and then just because of how, like, you know, to pay all those people to be standing there working and whatnot, it's just like, how do they afford this? You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of staff, a lot of employees to process people. But then you start, I don't know, for myself, I start cluing in. It's like, what is going on here? It's like, this isn't just a chiropractic office. This is a racket. You know, these people, this is, I don't know if a scam is quite the word, but it's like they got a thing going on here. They got themselves a cash cow. They're doing all right. And you know, when I went online, you know, to find a place, because you have to choose one of these. There's many of them out there, and so even just in the area that I'm in, there's tons of them. And so you're just like, okay, well, you know, you look for on Google and stuff like that for the one that has like the most stars, or has essentially like, you know, the best rating and like reviews. And I remember reading this one. It's like, oh yeah, I've been coming here for years. And it's like, you didn't think of it at the time. It's like, at years. I mean, you've been going there for years. You know, in China, you stop paying your doctor when you get sick because it clearly means that person doesn't know what they're doing. Like, if you know, that is your treatment, is years worth of coming to visit this person so that they can essentially, you know, treat you, provide treatment. And it's like, this just doesn't seem right. And then, you know, I reached a point, like, I went for a couple of visits, and it's just like, it didn't sit right with me. My intuition was saying, this is not the answer. This doesn't really make any sense, because, you know, like, all that they did is told me what I already knew. So that was a waste of time. And just like how quickly they book you in, they bring you in, they sign you up, and then they do this, and then you pay, and then they book you for your next appointment, and then they, you know, kick you out the door because they're ready for the next sucker to come in. It's just like, these guys are shysters, you know, like, they're not healers, you know. Do they claim to be healers? I don't know. I don't think so, but do you go there to be healed? Yeah, I don't pay hundreds of dollars to a person who practices a particular modality because I hope they can help me out. Like, you know, like, if they can, they can't. If they can't, they can't. You know, if I take my vehicle, you know, to a certain mechanic and he doesn't know anything about diesels, he better not say, although I had this problem in Mexico, I took it to a guy and he screwed it right up. It's like, if you don't know what to do, don't start working on it. Don't say you can do it and just take my money. You know, that's thievery. That you're a dishonest, you know, thief. Anyways. And so, you know, after a couple of visits, and it's just like, this is not helping anything. It's like, oh, well, you just have to keep coming back. And it's like, no, you just want to keep charging my credit card. And, you know, it's like, you know what, this just doesn't seem right. There's something very off-putting. And I said to them, I was like, you know what? Basically, based on the assessment that you gave me, off everything that I talked about with the intake staff and with the chiropractor themselves, and, you know, and then going home and having a conversation with ChatGPT, you know, and it's just like, I don't feel like there's really any great benefit from actually giving you my money, from coming here and practicing, being, yeah, you know, participating in what you're offering, which is this chiropractic care. It's just like, everything that I have looked into, it's like I can achieve all of this stuff with yoga. And as soon as I said that, you know what, it's just like I need to listen to my own intuition here, and I think I'm going to try to sort this out on my own, because based on what you're doing and what you've shared with me, there is another way. This doesn't seem to be it. And as soon as I said that, they started coming at me one after another from all these different angles, and they have all these ways to try to convince you. It's just like, even the chiropractor himself, who is listening like down the hall, when I'm sitting there, just saying to the lady, and it's so silly because they're like, oh, what you do is completely in your hands. You get to choose, the kind of treatment that you want. But as soon as you choose to go about it in a different way, that's when they start trying to convince you. That's when all of a sudden they start using, sort of like tactics to they're essentially arguing with you, saying, oh, well, like using certain scenarios. It's like, oh, well, it's just like going to the gym, you have to come a bunch of times. Or, oh, it's just like practicing yoga, you have to do it every day, or do this or do that. And it's just like, yeah, but it's a lot of money, and I just don't, something tells me that this isn't the answer. And then the chiropractor comes around the corner, and then he's like, oh, okay, well, the thing is, you can't fix this with yoga. It can't be stretched out, and the only way is for it to be set. Your shoulder has to be set, and that's what they do. Like, what a coincidence! What luck it is that they hold the magic key to my salvation, so that I can stop suffering and stuff like that. And at the same time, they offer zero practical advice, nothing at all whatsoever. It's like no exercises to do, nothing to pay attention to, not like, hey, when you're doing this or do this, think about this, or you want to do this. Nothing to do with anatomy, nothing. Don't even practice yoga, don't even lift weights, don't even do anything. Don't look into different say training modalities which might be able to which cover certain ground and stuff like that. And it's so frustrating when somebody comes in and starts like telling you that basically they hold this magic key to your salvation, and then making you kind of like feel this big when you got a couple of people coming at you, and they're very coercive, like they use language and examples and stuff like that to convince you, and you are suffering, so they got you, unless you stand firm and say, no, this feels wrong, and the more and more you push, it feels even more wrong, and I don't appreciate the way that you're talking to me, and I don't appreciate the way that you say that it's my choice, but then when I make my choice, you start attacking me, and and saying that it can't be addressed in any other way. So anyways, I stood my ground, and I said, no, it doesn't feel right. And I was polite to them as I walked out the door, but then I went home and I furthered my conversation with ChatGPT, and it said, compare these two practices, chiropractic care and yoga. And it said plain as day, you could go for chiropractic care if you can afford it. You might get some kind of temporary relief, but it's not a long-term strategy. Like it's the thing, it's like they twist you this, like, I can do this in yoga, I can do this in yoga. And when I practice yoga, I have the benefit of practicing breathing techniques, of practicing mindfulness, of practicing balancing, and of moving my body in 100 different ways rather than in 3 ways on a table, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, you know, like 10 minutes or like 2 minutes later, you're out the door and ready to go back for your next appointment because it doesn't freaking do anything. It's like, sure, it does, you know, like I could see how there could be some benefit for people who refuse to do any kind of physical exercise, to pay attention to their posture, to refuse to do yoga. Maybe they have disabilities that they can't do them at all. But even at that, it's like, then when you're giving, you know, when you're putting your health in the hands of somebody who's, it's not in their best interest to actually fix you, because that's how they make their money. As soon as you get better, you stop giving them money, right? And so, and like I said, I had a conversation with ChatGPT about this, and it was saying, you know, like yoga, hands down, you know, across the board is a way better strategy. And then so, you know, but as a yoga instructor, I was, and somebody who lifts weights, I was not able to remedy this issue. And so I thought, okay, have another conversation with ChatGPT. It helped you so far. And I explained where this issue was. It's back here. It's just on the one side, and I don't know what to do about it. And I tell you something, in like a 10-minute discussion regarding, you know, pinpointing it and telling it about my lifestyle. I am a yoga instructor. I go to the gym every other day. I play the piano. I play the guitar. You know, like I make YouTube videos. I'm a writer, so I spend a lot of time sitting in front of a desk. I swing a hammer, all this kind of stuff. In like 10 minutes, it was just like, I know exactly what this is. It's actually relatively simple. The issue isn't something to do with stretching. It's not, you're not going to, because it's like if you have an issue, you don't want to treat the symptom, you need to treat the root cause. So what is going on? And what it was is that because of all of my practices, because of sitting here playing the guitar, you know, with my arm like this, but because I'm a yoga instructor, I'm always sitting upright. I'm never leaning back in a chair. I'm always paying attention to my posture. So it's like I have a broomstick up my backside, you know, and it's the same thing in the car. I'm holding myself up. I'm at the piano holding myself up. I'm at the guitar holding myself up. I'm sitting at my desk chair holding myself up. When I'm practicing yoga, what am I doing? I'm holding myself up stiff. When I'm lifting weights, what am I doing? I'm stiffening. I'm holding myself up. I'm doing squats, you know? So it's all about stiffness. And the problem is because I have all of these practices that I do, and they all a lot of them involve stiffness, all of this posture stuff. And what it told me is like, you need to relax. Like, you need to loosen up. The issue that you have is a mobility issue. And the problem is because you're so stiff, so then it's like your rhomboids are like muscles here or whatever, muscle or muscles. And so what happens is when you stop moving when you get all stiff and you stop moving your scapula, which is, I don't know, muscles in here anyways, scapula, you need scapular movement. And then when you're not using sort of like your whole body, the rhomboids get overworked and develop these knots and stuff like that. And being right-handed, because I use it for work and playing the guitar and all this kind of stuff, it has just gradually over time led to this imbalance that has been causing me grief. And it's very simple what you do to to remedy it, you have to relax and you have to practice movement. So when I'm working, instead of stiffening, instead of always being braced for everything that I'm doing, relax, keep moving, keep fluid, even when you're swinging a hammer. It's not about being super tense, right? It leads to problems. You need to relax in the things that you do. And also doing scapular push-ups. You keep your arms straight and you just essentially move your shoulders back and forth. And I do these hanging from rings too, like that. You can do it hanging, like doing pull-ups, scapular pull-ups, like that. Your arms stay straight, more or less. And then you do these things. And all of a sudden, the issue starts being remedied. And then it's just like, okay, well, this is great, but because it's been an issue for so long, how do I make the process of healing and getting well and balanced quicker? And that was go to a deep tissue massage. So have somebody who focuses specifically on an area and holds pressure, because even with ChatGPT, it says use things like this. This is a Theracane, which you can kind of put on here, and then it holds pressure, and then you release. So it's basically like giving yourself a massage, or you can put your back up against the corner of a wall, or you can put a ball on the floor. But there's all of these things that you can do to help release the tension in your muscles and fascia and all that kind of stuff. And I noticed myself that when I would do this, but seriously, like not just like for 2 minutes and hardly put in any effort, like actually take a good period of time and really work it and move it, and not just like, and do both sides and make sure it's balanced and whatnot. And I would notice the relief, right? And then combined with yogic postures, as well as resistance exercises like weightlifting exercises, and the deep tissue massage, problem solved. So yeah, like I have some contempt for anyone who offers a service that doesn't that just takes your money. And when I think about these chiropractors, it's like, is it the massage therapist's job to diagnose what's wrong with you? No, not necessarily, although that would make them a good massage therapist if they had that kind of knowledge, so that they could treat you and help you, right? Because you're paying them. So, and then also, so is it the job of the physiotherapist? Yeah, I'd kind of say so. So, what do you say about that? When somebody, you go to them and they waste your time and money, it's kind of an insult, like, how dare you, you don't know what you're doing, and the person I went to was recommended by somebody, but complete waste of time. Never mentioned any of the stuff that I have discussed in this video that I learned from having conversations with ChatGPT, and just based on my own experiences and knowledge regarding how the body works, and to do with, because we study this stuff for yoga and stuff like that. So, but the thing is in yoga, there isn't that scapular movement. It's just not something that is practiced. And so that's where certain modalities such as CrossFit, they actually do scapular pull-ups and things like that, because they, somewhere along the line, I guess somebody recognized, hey, this needs to be addressed. This is a part of the body that needs movement and stuff like that. And so there's exercises that are done in order to keep it moving and strengthen it, so that it doesn't become weak, and then other muscles need to compensate for that essential imbalance, right? And so, yeah, pretty. It's quite a journey, and I don't like to slander anyone. I'm not saying that every chiropractor is the same. I'm not saying that it's a whirlwind experience every time you walk into a place and that they're all shysters and charlatans and thieves and deceivers. But, it's sort of like, say, like allopathic medicine, like doctors. It's like a pill pusher, somebody who you're like, oh, I got this going on. Here's a pill. I'll just keep coming back and I'll fill up your prescription. At that point, I think you need to check yourself. You need to, if you're prescribing something that isn't fixing the problem, I mean, shame on you. How to call yourself a doctor, because a doctor, what's the difference between a doctor and a healer? How do you draw the line between somebody who prescribes something that, can actually cause harm, which is crazy because of the oath that doctors say, is to cause no harm. Yet that's what a lot of them do, and they don't fix you because they don't directly treat the source of the manifestation. So it's just like, I really don't have a whole lot of respect for anyone who is pushing some form of it's not even medicine, right? I mean, they're just essentially running a business. It's a racket. They're just thieves who are and don't have any business. It's like, just because you can get trained in something and get a job and open up a practice, it's like, if you're not helping people, you're like the lousy mechanic. You take your vehicle there and he finds things that are wrong with it, that aren't wrong with it, and overcharges you and stuff like that. You're a piece of work, because people come to you looking for help. Like you need to give your head a shake. And I don't even know, like, if a person was like, practiced like a chiropractic practices as a part of something else they offered, because ultimately it doesn't seem like it's the answer for anything other than people who are disabled. And if you want to practice that, you should market it as that. You should be transparent about what it is that you have to offer and what it can do for people, because otherwise you are deceptive and you're a liar and a thief. And I tell you, they have a whirlwind of a negative review that is going to be coming from me. I'm going to do it right after this because I'm all ready to do it. And I made sure that I held off making this video for a period of time to make sure that I tried these other modalities, and then I did my own research and I listened to my own intuition, and then I used my own practices of yoga and bodybuilding and massage and ChatGPT to do this scapular movement and stuff like that, and then getting into things that involve a lot more movement, complex movement, rather than just the rigid kind of movements that a lot of my other practices involve. And and I waited to make sure that this was coming from the right place, and I feel that it is. Am I a little angry? Yeah, because anger is a sensation that you feel inside of your body when you witness something that is incongruent with what you understand to be correct. And I would say that this falls under that umbrella. This fits that. And so yeah, I hope that is helpful to anybody who is considering going to a chiropractor. I would first have a conversation with ChatGPT or something like that. Anyways, peace.